Captain Lee Daeho stared at the massive display screen on the bridge of his ship. The battle happening in front of them was like nothing he had ever seen before. Thousands of alien warships filled the space between two planets, firing weapons that lit up the darkness like deadly fireworks. The human ship Silent Observer floated quietly at the edge of the solar system. It was much smaller than any of the alien vessels fighting each other. Where the alien ships were as big as cities, the human ship was no bigger than a large building. But it had one advantage. Nobody could see it. The special stealth technology kept them hidden from all the sensors scanning space. "Captain, the Catherians are bringing in their heavy cruisers," said Commander Kim Hana from her position at the tactical station. She was watching the battle through their advanced sensors. The Catherians were tall, blue-skinned aliens with 4 arms and metal implants covering parts of their bodies. They had been fighting this war for 3 years. On the other side were the Nexari, a race of beings that looked like large insects but walked on 2 legs. Their ships were sleek and silver, covered in strange patterns that seemed to move and change. Both races were among the most powerful in the galaxy. Both had technology that could destroy entire planets. Daeho had been watching this war for 6 months. Earth's government wanted to learn about alien warfare. They told him to stay hidden and just observe. "Do not get involved," his orders said. "Just watch and learn." But watching was becoming harder every day. The battles were getting more violent. Millions of beings were dying. Both sides were using weapons that were more and more dangerous. "Sir, something is happening," said Lieutenant Yisora from the communications station. Her voice was worried. "The Catherians are powering up something big. I'm reading energy levels I've never seen before." On the main screen, they could see a massive Catherian ship. It was 10 times bigger than any other vessel in their fleet. Strange purple energy was building up around its front section. The energy was so bright it hurt to look at. "What is that thing?" asked Daeho. Hana's fingers moved quickly over her control panel. "I'm not sure, Captain, but the energy readings are off the charts. It's like nothing in our database." The purple energy kept building. Other Catherian ships moved away from the massive vessel. Even the enemy Nexari ships seemed to sense danger and started backing away from the battle. Then the weapon fired. A beam of purple light shot across space and hit a group of Nexari ships. But instead of exploding, the ships simply disappeared. Not destroyed, just gone. Where they had been, there was now empty space. But this empty space looked wrong. It was darker than normal space, and it seemed to be growing. "Captain!" Hana's voice was sharp with alarm. "That's not a normal weapon. It's some kind of space-time disruptor. It's creating a void in space itself." The dark area kept expanding. Any ship that touched it disappeared completely. Both the Catherian and Nexari fleets were now running away from the growing darkness. But it was spreading faster than their ships could move. Daeho could hear radio signals coming from both fleets. The universal translator was working hard to change their alien languages into words he could understand. The messages were all the same: panic, fear, calls for help. "The weapon is out of control," said Dr. Nam Jiwoo from the science station. She was their expert on alien technology. "I don't think the Catherians meant for this to happen. The void is feeding on space itself. It's going to keep growing." "How big will it get?" Daeho asked. Jiwoo looked at her instruments and her face went pale. "If it keeps growing at this rate, it will reach the next solar system in 2 months. There are billions of people living there." More ships were disappearing into the void. Both alien fleets were broadcasting emergency signals on all frequencies. They were asking any ship in the area to help with rescue operations. Their own technology could not stop what they had created. "Captain," said Hana quietly, "we're getting signals from Earth Command." Admiral Park Soo-jin appeared on the communication screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and a serious expression. Behind her, Daeho could see the busy command center on Earth. "Captain Lee, you are to maintain your position and continue observing only," she said. "Do not reveal your location. Do not get involved in any way. Is that understood?" "Yes, Admiral," Daeho replied. But he kept looking at the growing void on his main screen. The void was now as big as a moon and still expanding. Rescue ships from both fleets were trying to save survivors, but they could barely stay ahead of the growing darkness. Every few minutes, another ship would get too close and vanish forever. "Sir," Sora said from her station, "I'm receiving a broad-spectrum distress call. Both fleets are asking for help from any nearby vessels. They're saying the void will spread to inhabited systems if they can't stop it." Deho watched more ships disappear. He thought about the billions of people living in the systems that would be in the void's path. He thought about his orders to stay hidden and not get involved. "Captain," Jiwoo said, "I'm running calculations on the void's expansion rate. If it continues growing, it will reach the human colony at New Seoul in 6 months." The bridge became very quiet. New Seoul was home to 2 million human colonists. It was one of Earth's most important outer colonies. The void would consume it completely. Hana turned in her chair to look at Deho. "Captain, maybe this isn't about helping aliens anymore. Maybe this is about protecting humans." Deho stared at the screen. The void was now bigger than most planets. Ships were disappearing faster. The alien radio signals were becoming more desperate. Soon both fleets would be destroyed and there would be no one left to try to stop the expanding darkness. He made his decision. "Sora, open a channel to Earth Command," he said. "Hana, prepare to drop our stealth field. Jiwoo, I need to know everything you can tell me about that void." "Sir, are you sure about this?" Hana asked. Deho looked at his crew. They were good people who had signed up to explore space and help humanity grow among the stars. None of them had expected to face a choice like this. "If we do nothing, that void will eventually reach human space," he said. "We might be the only ones who can make a difference." The void kept growing, swallowing more ships and more space. In a few hours, both alien fleets would be gone. After that, there would be nothing to stop the darkness from spreading across the galaxy. Deho took a deep breath and prepared to change everything. The communication channel crackled to life as Admiral Park Soo-jin's face appeared on the screen. Behind her, Deho could see other officers running around the Earth Command Center. Everyone looked worried. "Captain Lee, I'm reading your request to intervene in the alien conflict," Park said. Her voice was firm. "The answer is no. You will maintain your position and continue observing only." "Admiral, with respect, this situation has changed," Deho replied. "The void is expanding toward human space. We might be the only ship in position to help." Park shook her head. "Captain, you have one small reconnaissance ship. The aliens out there have thousands of warships, each one bigger and more powerful than anything we've ever built. If they can't stop this void, what makes you think we can?" Commander Hana stepped forward. "Admiral, may I show you something?" She transferred her calculations to the communication link. "According to my analysis, the void's expansion rate is increasing. At current speed, it will reach New Seoul Colony in exactly 5 months and 18 days. The Admiral's face went pale as she looked at the numbers. New Seoul was home to 2 million human colonists. It was also the location of Earth's most important research facilities outside the home system. "Even if that's true," Park said, "we cannot risk our only deep space vessel on a rescue mission we don't understand. Earth needs information about this conflict, not heroic gestures." Dr. Jiwoo looked up from her science station. "Admiral, I've been studying the void's energy patterns. This isn't just a weapon that got out of control. It's tearing holes in space itself. If it reaches a certain size, it might become unstable and expand much faster." "How much faster?" Park asked. "It could reach Earth in 2 years instead of decades," Jiwoo said quietly. The bridge became silent. Everyone understood what that meant. Earth, with its 8 billion people, would be completely destroyed. On the main screen, they could see more alien ships disappearing into the void. The Catherian and Nexari fleets were trying everything they could think of. They fired their biggest weapons at the void, but the energy just made it grow faster. They tried to use their shields to contain it, but their ships got pulled in and disappeared. "Sir," said Lieutenant Sora, "I'm monitoring their communications. Both fleets are asking for help from anyone with different technology. They keep saying their normal methods aren't working." Deho turned back to the communication screen. Admiral, what if our different approach is exactly what they need? Our technology works differently than theirs. Maybe we can see solutions they can't. Captain, you're talking about one small ship against forces that can crack planets, Park replied. Even if you wanted to help, what could you possibly do? Chief Engineer Choi Min-ho had been quiet until now, but he suddenly looked up from his engineering station. Admiral, may I say something? Park nodded. I've been studying their technology for months, Min-ho said. Both alien races build everything to be as powerful as possible. But human technology is different. We build things to be adaptable. Our ship might be small, but it can do things their ships can't. Like what? Park asked. Min-ho pointed to his engineering displays. Our engines can change their energy output in ways their ships can't. Our shields can shift frequencies faster than their sensors can track. Our computers can solve problems by trying thousands of different approaches at once, while their computers follow set patterns. Hana nodded. The engineer is right, Admiral. I've been watching their tactics. Both sides keep using the same strategies over and over. When something doesn't work, they just try it again with more power. They don't seem to adapt or change their approach. On the screen, they watched another group of alien ships attempt to contain the void using the same shield configuration that had failed 10 minutes earlier. The ships disappeared just like the ones before. They're not learning from their mistakes, Jiwoo observed. They keep trying the same solutions that already failed. Admiral Park was quiet for a long moment. Daeho could see her thinking about everything they had told her. Finally, she spoke. Even if everything you're saying is true, I cannot authorize you to reveal humanity's presence to these alien civilizations. First contact is too important to risk on an unplanned intervention. Admiral, Daeho said, if we don't do something, there might not be a humanity left to make first contact. The void was now consuming entire formations of alien ships. Both fleets were running out of vessels to sacrifice in their attempts to stop it. Soon there would be no one left to even try. Sora turned from her communication station. Captain, I'm receiving a message that's being broadcast to the entire galaxy. Both alien races are begging any civilization with advanced technology to help them. They're offering to share everything they know in exchange for assistance. They're desperate, Hana said. Desperate enough to ask for help from species they've never met. Daeho looked at each of his crew members. They were all young people who had volunteered to explore space and represent humanity among the stars. None of them had expected to make a decision that could affect the entire galaxy. Admiral, he said to Park, I need to ask you directly. If this void reaches Earth, will you blame yourself for not letting us try? Park was quiet for a very long time. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. Captain, if you do this and it goes wrong, you could start a war between humanity and both of these alien civilizations. They might see us as a threat and attack Earth. And if we do nothing, and they all die, the void will eventually reach Earth anyway, Daeho replied. The Admiral closed her eyes. When she opened them, she looked very tired. Captain Lee, I cannot give you official authorization to intervene. Do you understand what I'm saying? Daeho understood perfectly. Park couldn't order him to help, but she also wasn't ordering him not to help. If things went wrong, she could say he acted against orders. If things went right, she could say she trusted his judgment. I understand, Admiral, he said. Captain, Park said, if you're going to do this, you need to be very careful. These aliens don't know anything about humans. They might see you as a threat, or they might not take you seriously because your ship is so small. We'll be careful, Daeho promised. Park nodded. Good luck, Captain. I hope you know what you're doing. The communication ended. Daeho turned to his crew. Anyone who wants to object to what we're about to do should speak now. Nobody said anything. All right then, Daeho said. Sora, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies. Hana, drop our stealth field. Minho, I need our engines ready for anything. The silent observer began to move toward the battle zone. As their stealth field disappeared, they became visible to every sensor in both alien fleets. This is Captain Lee Daeho of the Terran vessel Silent Observer. Sora broadcast to the entire area. "We're coming to help." The reaction from both alien fleets was immediate and confusing. Radio chatter filled every frequency as the Kitherians and Nexari tried to figure out what they were seeing. The silent observer was so small compared to their massive warships that many of them thought it was some kind of probe or escape pod. "Unknown vessel, identify yourself," came a voice from the Kitherian flagship. The universal translator made the alien's voice sound deep and mechanical. "Are you a rescue craft? Your vessel appears to be too small to carry significant personnel." From the Nexari fleet came a different message. "Tiny ship, you are in extreme danger. The void will consume your vessel in minutes. Retreat to a safe distance immediately." Lieutenant Sora looked at Captain Deho. "Sir, they're treating us like we're some kind of lost shuttlecraft. I don't think they understand that we're here to help." Deho nodded. "Keep broadcasting our message. Make it clear we're here to assist with the void situation." On the main screen, they could see the massive alien ships continuing their desperate attempts to contain the growing darkness. A group of Kitherian cruisers were firing their main guns directly into the void, but the energy was just making it expand faster. The Nexari were trying to surround it with some kind of energy net, but ships at the edge of the formation kept getting pulled in and disappearing. Chief Engineer Minho was working frantically at his station. "Captain, I think I understand what's happening. The void isn't really a weapon, it's more like a crack in space itself. Every time they hit it with energy, the crack gets bigger." Dr. Jiwoo looked up from her science instruments. "Minho is right. Their approach is completely wrong. They're trying to fight it or contain it, but that's not how you deal with a space-time fracture." "Then what do you do?" asked Commander Hana. "You have to stabilize it," Jiwoo explained. "Like fixing a crack in a wall. You don't hit it with a hammer. You fill it carefully and let it heal." The silent observer moved closer to the battle zone. As they approached, the alien ships began to take notice. A Kitherian destroyer moved to intercept them. "Unknown craft. You must turn back immediately," the destroyer's captain said. "This area is extremely dangerous. We are dealing with a critical situation." "This is Captain Lee Deho," Deho replied. "We understand the situation and we're here to help. Our technology might work differently than yours." There was a long pause. Then the Kitherian captain's voice came back, sounding confused. "Your ship appears to be of unknown design. What species are you? What technology do you possess that could help with this crisis?" "We're humans," Deho said, "and we specialize in solving problems that seem impossible." Another pause. "Humans? We have no record of this species in our databases. How did you reach this location without us detecting you?" Hana smiled slightly. "Our stealth technology is pretty good." The Nexari fleet was also sending messages now. "Human vessel. Our sensors indicate your ship has very low power output compared to our vessels. How do you intend to assist with a crisis that our most powerful weapons cannot solve?" Minho had finished his analysis of the void. "Captain, I think I know how to stabilize it. But we'll need to get much closer than any of their ships have dared to go." "How close?" Deho asked. "Close enough that the void's gravity field will start pulling us in," Minho said. "But our engines are designed differently than theirs. We can adjust our power output in real time to stay at exactly the right distance." Jiwoo nodded. "If we can get close enough, we can use our sensor array to map the fracture's exact shape and size. Then we can figure out how to seal it." "That sounds incredibly dangerous," Hana observed. "It is," Minho agreed. "But their ships are too big and powerful. They can't make the fine adjustments needed to stay in the void's gravity field without getting pulled in. Our ship is small enough and responsive enough to do it." The alien fleets were watching as the silent observer began moving toward the void. Their radio chatter became more urgent. "Human vessel, you are approaching the danger zone," warned a Nexari captain. "Our most advanced ships cannot survive at that distance." "Unknown species, please reconsider," added a Kitherian admiral. "We have lost dozens of vessels to that void. Your small craft will be destroyed instantly." But the silent observer kept moving closer. As they approached the void's edge, strange things began to happen. The ship's lights flickered and the gravity system started acting strangely. Everyone on the bridge felt lighter, then heavier, then lighter again. The space-time distortion is affecting our systems, Jiwoo reported. But we're still functional. Minho was making constant adjustments to the engines. I'm compensating for the gravitational fluctuations. We're maintaining position at the optimal distance. Through the main screen, they could see the void up close for the first time. It wasn't just empty space, it was like looking into nothingness itself. The edges seemed to ripple and move, and occasionally they could see flashes of strange light deep inside. I'm getting readings now, Jiwoo said excitedly. The fracture has a specific resonance frequency. If we can match that frequency and reverse it, we might be able to start closing the crack. Lieutenant Sora was monitoring communications from both fleets. Sir, they're amazed that we're surviving this close to the void. Some of them are asking how our ship is staying together. Tell them we build things differently, Daeho said. Hana was watching the tactical display. Captain, some of the alien ships are moving closer to our position. I think they want to see what we're doing. Let them watch, Daeho said. Maybe they'll learn something. Minho began implementing Jiwoo's plan. I'm adjusting our shield frequency to match the void's resonance. If this works, we should start to see the expansion slow down. The silent observer began emitting a strange humming sound. The ship's shields started glowing with a soft blue light that pulsed in rhythm with the void's flickering edges. It's working, Jiwoo shouted. The void's expansion rate is decreasing. On the communication channels, they could hear excited chatter from both alien fleets. Sensors throughout the battle zone were confirming what the humans had achieved. The void had stopped growing. Incredible, came a voice from the Catherian flagship. The human vessel has accomplished what our entire fleet could not. How is this possible? A Nexari admiral joined the conversation. Unknown humans, please explain your methods. Our scientists are recording everything, but we do not understand how your small ship succeeded, where our greatest vessels failed. Daeho looked around at his crew. They had done something no one thought was possible, but they weren't finished yet. The void has stopped growing, he announced to both fleets. But it's still there. Now we need to close it completely, and for that we're going to need your help. The alien response was immediate. Anything you require, human captain, said the Catherian admiral. Tell us what to do. We are at your disposal, added the Nexari fleet commander. How can our vessels assist? Daeho smiled. For the first time since this crisis began, he felt like they might actually succeed. The hardest part, getting the aliens to trust them, was over. Now came the really difficult part, closing a hole in space itself. The void had stopped growing, but it was still as dangerous as ever. Any ship that got too close would be pulled in and destroyed. Captain Daeho knew that stopping the expansion was only the first step. Now they had to close it completely, and that would require something that had never happened before in galactic history. Captain, said Dr. Jiwoo from her science station, I've been studying the void's structure. It's like a wound in space itself. To heal it, we need to bring the edges together and seal them. But that will require precise coordination between multiple ships. Commander Hana looked at the tactical display showing both alien fleets. Sir, coordinating between our ship and theirs won't be easy. They don't use the same communication protocols, and their ships respond much more slowly than ours. There's another problem, added Chief Engineer Minho. To close the void, we'll need both fleets to work together at the same time, but they've been fighting each other for 3 years. They don't trust each other at all. On the communication screen, Admiral Vextar of the Catherian Fleet and Fleet Prime Quinara of the Nexari forces were both waiting to hear Daeho's plan. The two alien commanders had never spoken directly to each other before. They had only exchanged threats and battle challenges. Honored commanders, Daeho began, what we need to do will require perfect cooperation between both of your fleets. You'll need to trust each other completely. Vextar's forearms moved in what the humans had learned was a gesture of doubt. Human captain, you ask for something that is impossible. The Nexari are our sworn enemies. We have fought them for generations. Quinara's insect-like head tilted to one side. The Catherian speaks truth for once. Our species have been at war since before your civilization existed. We do not cooperate with our enemies. But you're not enemies right now, Daiho said. Right now, you're both facing the same problem. The void will destroy both your fleets if we don't close it. After that, it will spread to your homeworlds and kill billions of your people. Lieutenant Sora had been monitoring communications from both fleets. Captain, the lower-ranking officers in both fleets are talking to each other. Some of them seem willing to work together to solve this crisis. The junior officers understand what their commanders do not, observed Minho. Survival is more important than ancient grudges. Jiwoo had finished her calculations. Captain, here's what we need to do. The void is like a tear in a piece of cloth. To repair it, we need to pull the edges together from multiple directions at the same time. If we only pull from one side, the tear will just get bigger. She transferred her plan to both alien flagships. The display showed how ships from both fleets would need to position themselves around the void and use their tractor beams and deflector shields to compress the space around it. This is madness, Vextar said after reviewing the plan. You want our ships to link their shield systems with Nexari vessels? To synchronize our tractor beams with theirs? Such cooperation would leave both fleets vulnerable to attack. Attack from whom? Daiho asked. There's nobody here except us, and we're trying to save everyone. Quinara studied the plan more carefully. Human captain, this strategy requires our ships to power down their weapon systems completely. No Nexari vessel has done such a thing in the presence of Catherian forces for over 50 years. And no Catherian ship has lowered its shields near Nexari vessels since the war began, added Vexitar. Hana leaned forward. Respectfully, admirals, if you don't work together, you're all going to die anyway. The void doesn't care about your war. There was a long silence. Both alien commanders were clearly struggling with the idea of trusting their enemies. Decades of warfare and hatred were hard to overcome, even in the face of total destruction. Finally, a new voice joined the conversation. It was Captain Zorith, a younger Catherian officer from one of the smaller ships. Admiral Vextar, permission to speak freely? Granted, Vextar replied, though he sounded irritated. Sir, I have family on the colony world of Kithara. If this void continues to spread, they will all die. I respectfully request permission to follow the human plan, even if it means working with Nexari ships. Another voice joined in. This time it was Sub-Commander Yixala from the Nexari fleet. Fleet Prime Quinara, my brood siblings live on Nexarim. I will work with anyone if it means saving them. Soon officers from both fleets were speaking up, asking their commanders for permission to participate in the plan. Many of them had families on worlds that would be in the void's path if it started expanding again. Daiho watched the two admirals as they listened to their subordinates. He could see them beginning to realize that their crews cared more about survival than about continuing an old war. Human captain, Vexitar said finally. If we agree to this plan and it fails, both our fleets will be destroyed. If we agree to this plan and it succeeds, we will have worked together with our enemies. Either outcome seems unacceptable. There's a third option, Quinara pointed out. If we do not agree to the plan, we will all be destroyed anyway, and billions of innocent beings will die after us. Minho had been making final adjustments to their ship's systems. Captain, I've run every simulation I can think of. This plan will work, but only if everyone follows their instructions exactly. One ship firing its weapons by mistake, or one crew panicking and breaking formation, and the whole thing will fail. How long will the operation take? Asked Vextar. 17 minutes, Jiwoo replied. For 17 minutes, every ship in both fleets will need to work together perfectly. 17 minutes without weapons or shields, trusting our lives to our enemies, Quinara said quietly. 17 minutes trusting your lives to each other, Daiho corrected. Today, you're not enemies. Today, you're all people trying to save their families and their worlds. The communication channels were quiet for a long time. Finally, Admiral Vextar spoke. Very well, human captain. The Catherian fleet will follow your plan. But if this is some kind of trick, it's not a trick. Fleet Prime Quinara interrupted. The humans had no reason to reveal themselves to us. They could have stayed hidden and safe. They chose to help us when they didn't have to. She turned to address Deho directly. The Nexari fleet is ready to begin whenever you give the order. Deho looked around at his crew. They had convinced two warring civilizations to trust each other and work together. Now they had to make sure the plan actually worked. All right, he announced to both fleets. Let's close this void and save the galaxy. Ships from both fleets began moving into position around the void. For the first time in decades, Catherian and Nexari vessels were working side by side, their ancient hatred temporarily forgotten in the face of a greater threat. The most dangerous part was about to begin. The next 17 minutes would be the longest of everyone's lives. Ships from both fleets moved carefully into position around the void, following the precise coordinates that Dr. Jiwoo had calculated. Catherian cruisers floated next to Nexari. Destroyers, their crews watching each other nervously but holding their fire. All ships report ready, announced Lieutenant Sora. Both fleets are in position. Captain Deho could see the formation on his tactical display. Nearly 200 ships surrounded the void in a perfect sphere, each one exactly where it needed to be. Any mistake now would doom them all. Admiral Vextar, Fleet Prime Quinara, are your crews ready? He asked. Catherian ships are standing by. Vextar replied. His voice was tense but determined. Nexari vessels are prepared, added Quinara. All weapons powered down, all shields synchronized to human specifications. Chief Engineer Minho was monitoring the void's energy patterns. Captain, the fracture is still stable, but I'm detecting some fluctuations. We need to begin the closure sequence soon, or it might start expanding again. Understood, Deho said. He opened a channel to all ships in both fleets. This is Captain Lee Deho to all vessels. In 30 seconds, we will begin the closure sequence. Remember, any deviation from the plan could cause the void to expand rapidly and destroy us all. Trust your fellow crews, trust the plan, and trust each other. Commander Hana began the countdown. 30 seconds, 25, 20. In the engine room of the Silent Observer, Minho was making final adjustments to their shield harmonics. 15 seconds, 10, 5. All ships, begin phase 1, Deho ordered. The first part of the plan involved using tractor beams to compress the space around the void's edges. Ships from both fleets activated their beams simultaneously, creating a web of energy that began pulling at the fabric of space itself. It's working, exclaimed Dr. Jiwoo. The void's diameter is decreasing, but the process was more difficult than anyone had expected. The void fought back, sending out waves of distorted gravity that made some ships lose their position. A Nexari cruiser started drifting too close to the void's edge. Nexari vessel Sharp Claw, adjust your position immediately, warned Sora. The Nexari ship tried to move, but its engines were struggling against the void's pull. It was being drawn inexorably toward destruction. Without hesitation, a nearby Catherian destroyer moved to help. This is Captain Mordak of the Iron Spear. We are extending our tractor beam to assist the Nexari vessel. The Catherian ship grabbed the Nexari cruiser with its tractor beam and pulled it to safety. On the communication channels, everyone could hear the Nexari captain's grateful response. Catherian vessel, this is Captain Yalara of the Sharp Claw. We thank you for your assistance. It was the first time in living memory that a Catherian had helped a Nexari, or that a Nexari had thanked a Catherian. Phase 1 complete, announced Hana. Beginning Phase 2. The second part of the plan was the most dangerous. All ships would need to reverse their shield polarity and push against the void's edges while simultaneously pulling with their tractor beams. The forces involved were enormous, and any ship that lost control would be torn apart. All vessels, execute Phase 2, Deho ordered. The space around the void began to ripple and distort as hundreds of ships worked together to reshape reality itself. The void's edges started coming together like a wound healing. But the strain was incredible. Warning alarms began sounding on ships throughout both fleets. Several vessels reported critical system failures. Captain, called out the commander of a Nexari science vessel, Our shield generators are overloading. Nexari's ship, this is the Catherian cruiser Stonehammer, came in immediate response. We can take over your position in the formation, move clear, and make repairs. The Catherian ship smoothly took the place of the damaged Nexari vessel, maintaining the delicate balance of forces needed to close the void. Similar acts of cooperation were happening throughout the formation. When Catherian ships had problems, Nexari vessels moved to help. When Nexari ships needed assistance, Catherian crews provided it without hesitation. The ancient enemies were working together as if they had been allies for centuries. Phase 2 complete, reported Jiwoo. Beginning final phase. The last part of the plan required the most precision. All ships would need to pulse their systems, in perfect synchronization, creating a wave of energy that would seal the void completely. If even one ship was out of rhythm, the entire effort would fail. All ships, prepare for synchronized pulse, Daeho announced. On my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark. Nearly 200 ships pulsed their energy systems at exactly the same moment. The wave of coordinated energy struck the void's edges and began welding them together. The darkness that had threatened to consume the galaxy started to collapse in on itself. But instead of simply disappearing, something amazing happened. The collapsing void began to transform. The dark emptiness became a swirling tunnel of light and energy. Captain, said Jiwoo in amazement, it's not just closing, it's becoming stable. We've created a wormhole. The former void had become a passage through space itself. Ships could travel through it instantly to distant parts of the galaxy. What had been a weapon of destruction was now a tool for exploration and connection. Incredible, whispered Admiral Vextar. How is this possible? The humans didn't just solve our problem, Fleet Prime Quinara said with wonder. They turned it into something beneficial. Daeho smiled at his crew. We didn't know it was impossible, so we didn't know we couldn't do it. The communication channels filled with chatter as both fleets realized what they had accomplished. Not only had they saved their civilizations from destruction, but they had also created something that would benefit the entire galaxy. Captain Lee, called Admiral Vextar. The Catherian Empire formally requests to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. We wish to learn from your people's approach to solving problems. The Nexari Coalition seconds that request, added Quinara. We have much to learn from each other, but the most important change was happening between the Catherians and Nexari themselves. Officers from both fleets were talking to each other, sharing information about their families and their worlds. The hatred that had fueled their war was beginning to fade. Admiral Vextar, said Quinara formally, the Nexari Coalition proposes an immediate ceasefire. This crisis has shown us that we have more in common than we have differences. The Catherian Empire accepts, Vextar replied. Perhaps it is time to end this ancient conflict and work together instead. As the silent observer prepared to return to Earth, Captain Daeho knew that everything had changed. Humanity was no longer hidden at the edge of the galaxy. Word of their intervention would spread to every civilization in known space. Some would see them as potential allies, others as possible threats. But all would know that humans thought differently than anyone else in the galaxy. They solved problems by asking what if, instead of why not. They adapted instead of overpowering. They cooperated instead of conquering. Lieutenant Sora received a message from Earth Command. Admiral Park Soo-jin's face appeared on the screen and she looked both relieved and worried. Captain Lee, our long-range sensors detected the successful resolution of the crisis. Well done. But I hope you're prepared for what comes next. What do you mean, Admiral? Daeho asked. Park's expression was serious. We're detecting ships heading toward Earth from 17 different civilizations. Some are bringing gifts and requests for alliance. Others are coming with weapons and demands. Humanity is about to become very busy. Daeho looked out at the swirling wormhole they had created, and at the mixed fleets of former enemies now working together to study it. I think we're ready for whatever comes next, Admiral. We've gotten pretty good at solving impossible problems. As the silent observer set course for home, Captain Deho and his crew knew they had changed the galaxy forever. They had shown that there was always another way, always a different solution, always hope even when things seemed hopeless. The age of human isolation was over. The age of human influence had begun, and it had started not with conquest or force, but with 5 people in a small ship who refused to give up when everyone else said there was no solution. The galaxy would never be the same.